Hi, my name is Laurelee, and this is It's Not About Food. So it's not about food, and it's not about weight. What is it about? Everything else, because it's never ever about food or weight. Never ever, not even one time, not ever, ever, ever. Hello, everyone. Thanks for listening to this podcast. So today we are talking about purpose. And the front of the card has the goddess walking down a path, and she has her spirit animal with her. And the front of the card shows like a beautiful hill, and you can't really see the path as it goes on between the two hills. And the sun and the moon is there and a beautiful sky. And she's just sort of meditatively walking down the path as she goes through her life, which is what I think about purpose. And the card reads, following our purpose leads us to the path that feeds our soul. We all possess unique gifts, and we all have the need to express these gifts. To find our calling is to find the path to our hearts, the way of life that makes us feel alive and glad to be here. Over time, we may find many different paths, small and large. We find our calling by listening to our inner voice and doing what feels right and true to ourselves. So I know that when I was recovering from my eating disorder, I didn't realize that what it would take me to is to be on my path. I thought when I recover from my eating disorder, then I'll be really, really thin and I can eat everything I want, all the ice cream in the whole wide world, and I'd still be thin. That's what I thought recovery was. But really what recovery was for me was to listen to this inner voice and my body's voice of, this is what I want to eat, and this is when I want to eat, and this is how I want to eat. And I love and accept the body that I have, that this is the only one I'm going to get, and so I'm going to take care of it. But the third part was how to take care of myself emotionally. That's the third prong of the three-prong recovery system. But and that was, what the world am I here for? It must be more than a size 0 or 2 or 4 or 10 or whatever the number is right now. Who cares? Extra small. It must be more than that. But I didn't know what it would be. And I had to listen and listen and listen and listen to what my inner voice was telling me, what my purpose was. And so many people, when they come to recovery, they find that they go to school, or they drop out of school, or they get married, or they get a divorce, or they stay where they are and they build a house, or they move all the way across country or even across the world and decide to work in a little tiny village and help people there. So you don't really know what your purpose is until you go along listening. And pretty soon you'll hear what it is that you're meant to do. And like the card says, over time, we may find many different paths, small and large. So it might change. And just like our eating or our bodies, as we grow older or more mature, or we just go into a different phase of life, what we used to do might not be what we do now, or what we even still want to do. And we have to let that be okay. So there's many, many paths. There's one journey, but there's many, many paths. So I can't imagine another more perfect person to talk about this with today. And I'm going to introduce Monika, who is just one of my most favorite people in the whole world, who probably loves animals even more than I do. But just a really wonderful soul. So I'm going to let her talk about her, and then we'll have a talk about purpose.
Thank you, Laurelee. So I'm Monika, and I live up here in Sacramento. Thank you so much for coming up here, by the way. And my career is also my passion, which I'm very fortunate to have. I'm a veterinary technician and have been for about 22 years.
Wow.
And that's taken me from all aspects of veterinary care and small animal and wildlife, and very unexpectedly, it's taken me to working with non-human primates. And I work with monkeys now, which is...
I love the non-human
primates. That's NHP is their official name. I work at the California National Primate Research Center at UC Davis through the NIH in the veterinary department. I'm a supervisor there, and I have a great team, and we take really amazing care of the animals.
Oh, that's so great.
Perfect.
I'm so glad.
Yeah.
And the animals are all lucky. She has animals in the room right now, and every one of them is a little special animal. Little special needs.
Special needs. Yeah. As a vet tech, I don't know if I'm drawn to them. They're drawn to us for sure.
Yeah.
So yes, I have a blind dog, a 3-legged cat, a new dog who remains to be seen what her or his missing part might be at some point. And then Smitty he's able-bodied. He's just maybe a little...
He's really old.
He's simple.
Yeah.
He's a simple, handsome boy.
Needy.
Yeah. But being very good right now.
Yeah. Anyway, so when you think about... when you were recovering from your eating disorder, how did having a purpose, fold into that?
Yeah, I was thinking about that I never considered it a career. It was sort of something I just did, and I loved it. And it wasn't until, honestly, just a few years ago that I've really appreciated what I have and what I do. But, the eating disorder was sort of this theme throughout. I think I became very aware. Like, I identified that I had an eating disorder when I first got into the field, which was interesting.
Oh.
And I don't really know why, other than, I can kind of chalk it up to being around people that, I don't know, just everyone talked about their weight and their diets, and I should, or I shouldn't, or I'm going to be good. And that was this really prevalent theme in the first big hospital I worked for. And so, and I guess I just acknowledged my eating disorder early on in my career. And then throughout the years, it's like it improved, and I met you and started a new job near the same time. Like, I think every big event with my career has sort of been followed by more progress in my recovery, I think. And that's partly just becoming more mature, getting older.
Yeah. But maybe doing more and more of what you really love.
Yeah. I think embracing that, because for so many years there was this shame of, I didn't finish school and get my degree and this and that, just all this BS that, it's the shoulds.
Yeah.
I finally just allowed myself to tell myself, I'm really good at what I do. I'm really, really good at what I do.
Yes, you are.
So to be good at it and to absolutely love it, whether it's a hard day or an easy day, is really a gift.
Yeah.
And to me, that's been a huge part of my path and purpose, because when you're in the throes of depression and just such disordered eating, you question everything. Like, what is my path? What is my purpose? And then you throw raised Catholic, living as a Christian into that whole mix.
Yes.
And am I supposed to be saving the world? What am I supposed to be doing?
Right.
And then you throw in
surely not doing enough.
Right. And then getting older, and then not wanting to be married and not wanting to have kids and facing those weird judgments. And so I don't know, like, my career was just always this solid, concrete path that I had, even though I didn't start out saying, I'm going to kick ass doing this and end up in this really amazing position in 20 years at the Primate Center for UC Davis.
Right. It's like this has been your base camp.
Yeah.
And you might not have known that as you went out from it and came back to it,
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was the constant. I mean, I guess it was the second constant, right? Because the eating disorder and that whole path, and then just progressing in my career were sort of side by side for a long time. And now it's, screw the eating disorder.
Who has time
screw
for
that eating disorder. Yeah.
Right.
Not that that's not always there, but.
It's like Trevor Noah, who says, ain't nobody got time for that.
Right.
Whatever
Love
it is.
Him.
I know.
Yeah.
And to me, when we are doing our thing that we're, meant to do, if you will, or our highest calling, or what our heart and soul wants to do, our body's heart and soul want to do, it seems to me then there's no reason to have an eating disorder, because you are doing what you want and need to do anyways.
Right.
So the anxiety of, what should I be doing, and why shouldn't I look like this, and why I should eat better, whatever kind of thing that we put on ourselves, then of course that brings up the eating disorder. But when we know that, well, this may be hard and I may be really tired and kind of sick of it for one reason or another, but this is what I really want to do, there's no reason to have that other escape, if you will, because there's nothing to escape from.
Right. It definitely becomes insignificant compared to how much weight I used to, no pun intended, put into it.
Yeah.
How much emotional time, physical time, just everything. How much effort I put into appeasing my eating disorder.
Yes, exactly.
Ridiculous.
Yes. And that also because I've had that myself, like, once I got an AA, then I needed to get a bachelor's. Right. And once I got a bachelor's, I needed to get my master's, which I did, all three of those things. But then there was such a pull then to get a PhD, and I was not happy with anything that I did ever unless I got that PhD. And it just sort of drove me crazy until I go, wait, I am actually doing exactly what I want and need to do.
Right.
So why am I chasing this brass ring? And I'm not saying if you're driven to get whatever, a PhD, a doctorate, whatever, then go for it, dude, but let yourself know this is okay, or do I want another thing? And it's okay, whatever it is. But I wasn't coming from my heart and soul. I was coming from my head and ego.
Yeah, I had to let ego go a long time ago too. I don't know.
Ego a go-go.
Yeah. I've told you this before. You always go through my head. Your little voice is, well, let's review. So when I'm freaking out about something, I'm like, well, let's review. You've done this. You bought a house. You started a job. You moved away from everything you knew. And it's
so maybe you might be a little upset.
Right. It's kind of a lot. And so those are the times where if I find myself, I call them mini binges now, where I'm mindlessly eating.
Yeah. Heaven forbid.
Yeah. Or not eating alternately, which is a thing for me too. That's the little voice I hear. Well, let's review. Why would you be doing
what's
this? Triggering this right now? Yeah. So, and honestly, usually I can figure it out, and other times I can't, and I'm like, well, F it. It's
right. There's
so I'm eating some Cheetos.
Yeah.
I'll be okay.
Maybe there's not always a burning bush.
Right.
Maybe this is just I'm eating Cheetos because they're awesome.
They're pretty delicious. Yeah.
Right. So maybe that's okay that I'm doing that. I love that. And then I think that gets us back to when we stop and think, okay, what's going on? Well, I'm upset about this, or this is just really good. Then that gets us back into what are we doing and consciousness. And when we get there, then if we're outside of our own integrity, we know right away. If we're not on our path or not in our purpose, we know right away.
Exactly.
Or the purpose needs to change. Maybe now I'm done with that and I need to do this, or I change a job or whatever.
Right. And I think it can be, for me, maybe not everybody, for me, it can be a slippery slope too of starting to obsess on it and start future tripping.
Oh, well, nobody does that.
Nobody does.
Yeah, you're the only one.
I'm the only one. Especially now. I'm not freaking out about my age necessarily, but everything's about retirement. I'm like, how am I going to retire? And am I safe in this house? And will I slip? Is there a trip fall hazard? So it's
well, I bumped my leg on that chair.
Right.
Should I pad everything?
Got to take that bathtub out because I'm for sure going to slip and fall in that. So it's weird. Like my path, like my career set, it's up to me if I stay and retire at UC Davis. It's great if I can. It's within sight and it's doable and it's a pension. So that's always lovely. But I have to bring myself back to the moment.
Yes.
And that I've been doing that more and more in the last few weeks. And I find if work is stressful or things are stressful, that's where I'll start going. I'll start future tripping a little bit and then I just pull myself out of it.
I have a client who the last, 4 or 5 years was very, very concerned about increasing her hours at work so that she would make the maximum amount of money in order to then, when she went to retire, not only her retirement was really good, but then her Social Security was really good. And she was working herself a lot to do this. And she recently had a heart attack. And so her body made her stop.
Right. I mean,
and she's had to recalculate. She's had to let's review and wait. I am working for this future that if I don't take care of this now, I don't have that future.
Right.
So we can drive ourselves crazy. And of course, we need to do that because in America, we have no net.
No net. That's what you say all the time. Right. That's the other thing that I think about.
But there's some sort of balance or some sort of thing that we have to reach where we're not driving ourselves and our bodies crazy.
Yeah. For sure. Mm-hmm. And that's where, I always joke that I'm a bad Christian because I, make jokes. But
I think Christians can make jokes though.
The funny ones can.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that finding the path, and I just feel like I'm always taken care of. Yes. And it's not that I go into it blindly. I'm trying to figure out how to articulate this. I don't just head in the sand like, la, 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 everything will be fine. I come from that. My sister and my mother were very much like that. And my dad wasn't, and planned, and his life fell apart when, in 2008 when everything crashed. So I try to just look at it as this happy medium of evidence has shown me I've always been okay. Financially and all of that. But, but we are in a society where I don't want to be homeless when I'm 70, No. And that's,
who does?
That's a reality too that people live. So that's terrible about your friend, but I get it too.
Yeah. Yeah. And she has to just slow down. And that's scary because what if she slows down and then she doesn't have enough money?
Right.
Well, I think that what I think is she is conscious enough and lives by her heart and soul enough, she'll figure it out.
Yeah.
She is not doing crack. She's not selling drugs, She
hasn't resorted to that yet.
No, she's
not Breaking Bad.
Right. She's following her purpose,
Yeah.
And whatever that is leading her to. And maybe, I don't know, none of us know what the future is. We can plan and plan and plan. And then
it's a conversation I just had with my dad yesterday.
Could happen. So I think for me, one of the things that I see in you is that you really, because I've seen you make many changes in the years I've known you. And each one is scary.
Yeah, I go big.
Yeah, you do a big change, but it's scary and you kind of freak out a little bit.
No, a lot. I freak out a lot. It's fair. It's fair.
You freak out and then you settle in. You go, okay, this is it. This is what I'm doing. So how can I take care of myself in this situation? And that's what I always see in you, is that you trust. There's some kind of trust there that maybe your head doesn't know or the freak out part doesn't know, but there's a big part of you that trusts you.
Yeah, no, that comes from just that faith or intuition or hope or winging a prayer. I don't know, but I just always am okay.
Yeah.
You know, it might be rough.
Right.
For sure.
Exactly.
So far, anyway.
Right. Exactly.
Evidence has shown.
Evidence has shown.
I'll be fine.
Studies have shown that Monika usually is okay.
9 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, for sure.
That's so good. So I think the only other thing I want to just ask you is, if there was a young woman out there who was going, oh no, I'm going to be not going to be okay, and I'm going to be fat or I'm going to be too fat, I'm going to be too thin, I'm going to be too big, I'm going to be too small, I'm going to be too much. And she's really like, oh, this is not going to happen for me. What would you tell her about that she will find her way, and that?
Yeah.
What would you tell her?
I try to tell people now.
Good.
It's the whole going back in time, right? It's still, because it breaks my heart to think about how mean I was to myself.
Yes. It does break our hearts.
You know, so I think, and what I tell people now, you know, younger women that I've worked with, or men, is just surround yourself with people that treat you well. Because it's,
what a great thing.
If someone's feeding you that,
yes,
and it all making you feel those feelings and feeling badly about yourself, like, God, just please walk away. Because if I could have walked away from so many situations sooner, I mean, I think you can't avoid them. That's part of life. But I mean, I think there's definitely been times where I could have walked away.
Yes.
Earlier,
right?
Whether it's work or a toxic relationship or a toxic friendship, or coworkers, where I just had to set boundaries. God, setting boundaries is the best thing. Right. But yeah, just treat yourself how your best friends and family treat you. Right. It was one of the first things I said when I got into therapy with Kim years ago. Yeah, was I just want to treat myself how other people treat me, because nobody else is mean to me. Nobody else says horrible, degrading things about me. Right.
Or treat yourself as well as you treat your animals.
Right.
Like, I feed them.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah. I take care of them. Yeah. I let them go for a walk, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And that if you're young and you cannot rule your world yet, you don't get to drive the car. You don't get to who's going to be in your house because they all pay the rent or the whatever, the mortgage. I think one thing you said was walk away. And you can walk away from that situation and still have to be there. Yeah. You can say, this is who I am. This is what I know. This is my truth. And I just have to get through it the next couple of years or the next year or the next 5 years, whatever. I'm just going to make the best of it.
Right.
Because someday this won't be like this. And I'll be able to find out what I'm supposed to be doing here, and I can do it.
Right.
Right now, I'm just gathering the wisdom to do that.
Because what a waste if I could go back in time and, you know, I don't dwell on it, but God, just
I know.
The emotional time wasted. Yep. Just beating myself up and. Yep. But again, it's all part of the purpose and the path. You know, I learned about my mother, and I learned so much about my family and how I want to treat people and how I want to present myself in the world. And,
right. I don't want to follow in those footsteps.
Right. It's hard. Yeah. It makes me really sad.
What are my footsteps?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's so true, Monika. That's really a good way to put it. So I think just the only other piece I want to add is that once again, we see it's not about the food.
Right.
It's not about our weight.
Never, ever, ever.
Not even one time.
Right.
It's not about the weight. It's not about your job. It's not about your money. It's not about where you live. It's really about you.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to do? How do you want to live? What is your purpose? And you may already be there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the thing I try not to trip about, right? Future. I'm here. I'm doing what I do. I love what I do. I work with monkeys. How cool is that?
How cool is that? Crazy little monkeys eating banana chips.
It's really cool.
That's the best. So on that note, that wonderful note of monkeys eating banana chips. So I wonder if you would read the For Today of the Purpose Body Love card.
Yes. Today, I will find some time to ask myself the questions, what higher purpose might I have? What can I bring into my life that would bring me joy, inspire me, and feed my soul? I will listen to my inner voice and honor whatever thoughts, feelings, and ideas that come to me.
Oh, thank you so much, Monika, for being here.
Thank you.
And being on this show and doing your purpose, which shows us all that we can do it. And thank you for listening. And be sure and follow me on Patreon, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and itsnotaboutfood.com. Thanks.